Hey, it's Chris. 5 games that are in my collection that I think you should know about because I think they deserve more love. 5 games that are flying under the radar, that aren't household hits, that aren't hype hits, but games that are absolutely solid that I would recommend to almost anyone with a few tweaks and asterisks. Let's talk. You're probably going, okay, Chris, what type of games are you going to be talking about? And now, you know me, I am open to a lot of different stuff. And so this list is only going to have 5 games, but it's going to have 5 games that are encompassing a wide variety of types and themes and mechanisms out there. And number 1 on this list is one that you very well know, and I just have to reach right over here because it's already here. And this is Pandemic, but not any Pandemic. This is Iberia. Iberia, I will say, is the best version of Pandemic. I don't care what you say. I'm going to say, if you're going to pick up one version of Pandemic, you pick up this one over Legacy, over any of the flavor of the month ones. This is the best one. The various levels of difficulty, just the difficulty of this one in general, to flip that phrase around and to get a completely different meaning, it is by far and away, hands down, the most adaptable, the most replayable, and for me personally, the most fun. Now, I'm probably going to put actually Star Wars The Clone Wars second after this, but if I had to say one for anyone, this is going to be a great intro game. It's a great heavier game in terms of, okay, you're beyond the initial steps, and it still entertains those who are, wanting a little bit more because it's not nearly as easy as some of the other Pandemics as well. So that makes it an easy recommendation for anyone that has any interest in this style of game. Now, number 2 is going to be something completely different. I own everything for this game, and so I have a little bit of bias with this one. This one is one that needs more love from a very specific group. This is probably the biggest asterisk one on this list, and that is Millennium Blades from Level 99 Games. I will dare say that no one has tried to do something as meta or as different as these guys with this game. Brad, I can't even imagine the amount of work that went into this because they've done parody after parody after parody and deck meta-esque Magic the Gathering where someone's idea was like, hey, what if we make a game about a game of the whole thing of Magic the Gathering, of what you do, from buying the decks to doing the deck construction to doing the tournaments, and have you do it all in one setting and one playthrough, right? Like, just super outside the box, super meta extension, and just, it freaking works. Now, is it a game I'm going to recommend to everyone? No, this is probably the only game on this list that I wouldn't recommend to everyone in the sense that it's going to be as approachable, because the teardown and setup of this thing is absolutely a chore, a bear, a beast, and it's the reason why I can count my number of plays on one hand. But it also is an experience like none other. So if you have, like, one of my friends that I play with occasionally is a huge Magic the Gathering person, or was, but it's not one for everyone. You have to have the right group with this one, and that's what sets it apart probably from the other ones on this list. Take that for what you will, but Level 99 Games does not get enough credit for how this game is put together as a whole, and so I can't speak enough praise in that sense. The third one on this list right here, again, is probably going to fly under a lot of people's radars when you think of the big tile-laying Knizias, right? You think of Samurai, you think of Tigris and Euphrates. Now, even more nowadays, you think of Yellow and Yangtze. But I will argue that the most accessible and the one that makes me want to play it the most because of that level of accessibility, while not losing the depth of gameplay and the strategy as well as the tactical nature of it, is Babylonia. Revolver to, spin in the Russian roulette sort of thing. If I had to pick one of those 3, I'm picking Babylonia, as controversial as that may sound. I love this game. I've introduced this game to couples who have only played like things like Cash and Guns and Sushi Go. And their eyes were just like this big, right? Holy cow. Whoa. But it wasn't overwhelming because, I love me some Yellow and Yangtze. I have Blue Lagoon over there too, but it's a step up from Blue Lagoon even as well. Like, I play Blue Lagoon with my 8-year-old, but I'm not going to play Babylonia yet with him, but he's not too far off either. And yet, you can play this with people who are going to take you to town with Tigris and Euphrates and Yellow and Yangtze and not lose a step in terms of still thinking that they're going to like it or be enjoyable from that side. So that's what it does, unlike a lot of other tile laying games in these situations. So I give a lot of kudos there as well. Now the next one up, I actually have hidden back in the corner over here. I can't reach it, but I'll just show you a picture of it instead. It's in the very, very back of the corner there. I would argue that this is another game that crosses all barriers. Another one that is actually getting a new version is Isle of Skye, right? This is tile laying, auctioning, bidding, resource management, and I love it. I cannot express how many times that I have taken this game out and played it with people, similarly to the example of Babylonia, that haven't played something like that, or that just enjoy something a little bit heavier, and it fits all of those gears so nicely in the tile laying and the asymmetric win conditions or point scorings that you have, along with just the ease of actually building what's in front of you and the sense of accomplishment that goes along with it. Cannot be understated how good that game makes you feel at the same time while not alienating any crowd in addition. And the fact that they're putting out a new big box edition minus the expansion that nobody seems to like, in terms of making it a little bit too much of a good thing, because again, that's a real phenomenon, especially in this hobby, just makes it all the more appealing because now you can get the better expansion with it, along with the other mini expansion, I believe, as well, all for a really good price. And that's coming out in 2023 sometime. So be excited. If you don't have a copy of that game, wait until the big box comes out and pick it up. Liege recommendation. Now, if you like something else on the card side of things, I've had this one sitting in front of me the whole video. This is the last one that we're going to talk about here. And this is, if you like card management, deck building, deck collecting, this is Dale of Merchants. I cannot argue enough from Snowdale Design that this is one of the more innovative card games that we have seen in the last 5 to 7 years, and that still has not been fully replicated or duplicated that Sammy has done here. The concept of this is very different, and it takes a little bit to wrap your mind around, and that's probably the biggest thing that, especially if you're familiar with the other deck building collection construction games, that it's going to leave you a little bit thinking of at first because of the mishmash of the mechanics, right? You have the same spending power as the price on these cards. You have to remove them from your deck to score. Cards you buy go into your hand instead of the discard. So right there, already you're doing things differently. And that leaves a little bit of people who are more familiar with what we're usually doing when you buy cards, put them in your discard pile, or, you know, how you're buying them and utilizing them, just a little bit off kilter at times. The fact of the matter is, though, you have a whole bunch of different animals in each of these games. You're only using so many of them. So if you have two, like right here, you have a total of 220 different possibilities that you could play just with these two that are never going to be the same. And so for an asymmetric, faction-based, because all of the different animals in each of these factions play their cards differently as you're trying to build your stack to win, it just does something different that I think goes underappreciated, even though it probably is a little bit more of a learning curve than the other games on this list to grasp your mind around if you're not familiar with it as a whole. But ultimately, there's a reason it's also still in my collection, because I also think it's that good. So take that for what you will. Anyway, 5 games off the top of my head that I love, that I think need more attention, that can be played with a wide variety of players, as well as people interested in both the hobby and just people outside of the hobby as well, and to garner more interest from them in the first place, as you know, people who otherwise might be not as interested. So let me know, what else do you think? I mean, I'm not going to call them gateway games, but they are games that need more love, both on either side of the fence, no matter where you fall. So there you go, my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Stay classy. See you around.